So, what exactly is the gut microbiome, and why should you focus on prioritizing your gut health as one of your main goals in this new year? We're going to be talking about all that and more in this video. Plus, I'll be sharing 7 solid plant based foods to help you maximize your gut health this year that you can start incorporating into your diet this week or even today, right now. And some of those things are probably foods that you might not have even considered, or maybe you've never tried. So make sure you stick around until the end because some of those might be a surprise to you. All right. But before we get into all of that, if this is your first time joining us, my name is Khalil, and on this channel, we provide content to help people live as long as possible, disease free, and feeling as best as possible each day by making sound daily food and nutrition choices. So, we provide and share everything from plant based recipes. We even do food product recommendation videos. We even do some educational deep dive videos just like this one. So, if you feel like this is content that would really help you, or if it's content that you're interested in, then I highly encourage you to subscribe and join our community so that we can do this all together because there's nothing like achieving or pressing towards a goal with others. So encourage you to do that. Also want to let you all know about our free juicing guide that we currently have available. We'll leave a link to that down in the description below. It's a very cool guide that provides several juicing recipes or recipes for juices that you can make even in your blender. And it also has a very cool guide and method that allows you to build and curate your own juices. Very, very cool. Highly encourage you all to check that out if that's something that you would be interested in. But folks, here we are again. It is that time of the year. And by that time of the year, I mean, obviously, we are in the new year or towards the beginning of the new year at the time of shooting this video. And so that means many of you out there are probably thinking about what you want your goals to be for the year or resolutions, or maybe you don't even call them resolutions, but you maybe have some things that you are wanting to focus more on for this year. And a lot of those probably, or some of those probably of which are health related, which is a great thing. I mean, that's something that Adrian and I do ourselves. And so hopefully by the end of this video, you will see, or hopefully I can convince you as to why you should focus not just on building a solid six pack or washboard abs, but even more so to focus on what's underneath and building a nice solid gut. All right. And I'm not knocking exercise, by the way. I'm not knocking uh, building a solid core and ab muscles. We are all for exercise. I mean, we're former athletes ourselves. However, uh, sometimes we get focused on what's on the outside or what things look like on the exterior without focusing more so on what's underneath. So in this video, we're going to talk all about what's underneath. And so one of the things that we did as part of the beginning of this year is we shared a poll. We had people to tell us what their goals were for this new year. Some pretty nice results that we saw here. One of which, in terms of tied for first, people said that they want to cook more at home, which is a very good thing. Great way to use some of your own fresh ingredients. Also, definitely a great way to save a little bit of money as well, of course. Everyone down for saving a little bit of money. There were some people who said that they want to eat more plant-based foods. They want to eat more fruits, more veggies, things like that. Another great thing, we're planning to release a video pretty soon that will show you exactly how you can do that in a very simple way that's not cumbersome at all. And then the other one that was tied for first was some of you said that you want to improve your gut health. And so this really became the driving force behind making this video. And so definitely want to know from all of you all watching right now, if you haven't responded to that poll, what is one of your health goals for this year? All right, let us know down in the comments or go ahead and respond to that poll that we still have on our community tab, because we want to know these things so that we can know what types of content we need to make in order to help you all reach your goals and do all that you have been called and purposed to do, especially as it pertains to your health. So definitely let us know what some of your goals are or what are some of the things that maybe you're curious about from a health and nutrition standpoint this year. All right. And so, just to talk a little bit more about what we will address all in this video, and I'm telling y'all, we have a lot that we're going to be going over. So, make sure you buckle up for this. But we're going to talk about why gut health matters, and what exactly is the microbiome. All right. Some of these terms are terms that maybe you have heard, and you're probably not really familiar with what exactly they are. Okay, so we'll talk about probiotics, prebiotics. We're going to talk about postbiotics, synbiotics, parabiotics, all of these biotics, right? What are they and what do they all mean? How do they impact our health, and why should I care? Why should you care about them? All right. We'll break them down, simplify them so that you can walk away from this video with a better understanding of what all of the biotics are. All right. We'll talk also about what makes a healthy gut. All right. So, what exactly is a healthy gut, and how can you assess what a healthy gut is? We'll talk about that. And then, as I mentioned, we'll share 7 plant-based foods for a healthy gut, in addition to 7 other ways to help improve your gut health beyond foods. All right. So, we'll go over that. We'll also talk about probiotic supplements and whether or not they're worth your money. All right. Should you spend money on probiotic supplements? Perhaps some of the information that we'll share will maybe have you rethink, if you're someone who is thinking about taking probiotic supplements or buying probiotic supplements, you might reconsider by the end of this video. We'll talk a little bit as well about addressing and how to address some of the GI issues that a lot of people do have. We'll touch a little bit on how that pertains to what's called the low FODMAP or the FODMAP diet. So if you're not familiar with that, we'll explain what that is. Now, I do want to just share as a disclaimer that this video will not be a deep dive into GI related issues. It won't be a deep dive into GI diseases. So we won't be getting too far into, IBS, IBD, and things like that, even though we know that that's something that a lot of people deal with. This won't be a deep dive into all of those things. So if you're looking for more content on that, this won't be the video for that. But hopefully you can still walk away from this video with some tools in your pocket that can help you from a general standpoint as it pertains to your gut health. And then finally, we'll talk a little bit about juicing for gut health and how that might impact your gut health. And as always, folks, we will have the timestamps below. So if you're watching the replay of this video, feel free to skip ahead to a section that interests you the most. All right. So now let's jump into gut health and why gut health. Why gut health? All right. Definitely a lot to unpack here. And so let's just jump right into it and talk about some of these terms: the gut microbiome, microbiota, so on and so forth. So the gut microbiota, all right, first and foremost, also known as the gut flora, you probably heard this term. These are all of the bacteria, the viruses, the fungi, both good and bad, that live in your gut, and specifically spanning from your stomach to your large intestine. So the stomach, the small intestine, and the large intestine. Most of these are housed within your large intestine or your colon. And all of these microorganisms play a key role in a lot of different aspects of your health. All right. They play a key role, obviously, in our digestive health, our metabolic health, immune health, neurological health, cardiovascular health, even. And so this is a very, very, very complex network of trillions of microorganisms living inside of you right now. And they're all playing the game, if you will, of trying to survive and to just do what they do. All right. So again, some of these bacteria are good. All right. Some of which are bad. And the name of the game is you want the good bacteria, you want the good microorganisms to outweigh the bad microorganisms. So you want more of the good guys than the bad guys. Okay. And so the gut microbiome, on the other hand, or in addition to that, this is all of the genetic information that's associated with these microorganisms. And so you'll oftentimes, hear people use these terms interchangeably. They'll sometimes say microbiome when really they're referencing the microbiota. So just remember that when you see microbiota when you when you see the term gut microbiota or gut flora, that's referencing the specific microorganisms in the gut. All right, the bacteria, the fungi, so on and so forth. But microbiome, on the other hand, that is in reference to the genetic information. So really looking at what these microorganisms are, how they function, and what role that they are playing within your body. Okay, so that's the difference there. Now, in thinking about what the microbiome does and why it's so important, as mentioned before, it plays a lot of roles within the body. Okay, so everything from supporting immune function, again, like we talked about, aiding digestion, improving gut transit and function. All right, protects against pathogens, that's related to immune function and immune support as well. Sends signals to the brain and other organs. All right, some of you all may have heard of this thing called the gut brain axis, in which the gut is almost like, in some sense, a second brain. All right, so it communicates to the brain, and vice versa. It's a two-way street, and it impacts a lot of different things and a cascade of events that take place in our bodies. And so we'll also see from a healthy gut that it will help us to get the most out of the foods that we eat. All right, and out of the nutrients that we're consuming, whether those be vitamins, minerals, so on and so forth. So you really do need a healthy gut in order to get to make sure that the nutrients that you're consuming are the most bioavailable or able to be used as well as possible. However, sometimes, if our guts are out of whack, if we start to have more of the bad guys than the good guys, I'm trying to use simple terms here. If you start to have more of the bad microorganisms than the good ones, or let's say, maybe you're having a condition, maybe you have a specific health condition that compromises your gut health, then our gut health can get out of whack, and this can also lead to a cascade of events. All right, you might find yourself starting to get sick more often, catching, colds or flus, so on and so forth. Obviously, COVID is still around. That's something else for us to keep in mind. It can also lead to potential issues with our cardiovascular health, potentially lead to cancers, could lead to diabetes. Of course, some of the serious GI diseases like irritable bowel disease, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, so on and so forth, neurological disorders. All right. There's been a growing body of research showing ties between gut health and how it could impact things like whether or not you get Alzheimer's, dementia, all right, Parkinson's, even some of the things that we deal with on a fairly common basis like anxiety and depression. All right. So if you're someone who maybe has dealt with some of those things or is dealing with some of those things, then perhaps maybe it is the health of your gut that could have something to do with that. And so just to show how fully integrated our guts are within our bodies. And so what's more, you know, probably have seen, we're starting to see a lot more of these headlines, or have been seeing them rather, for the past several years. And so this is one from the Harvard Medical School, just an editorial on probiotics may help boost mood and cognitive function. All right. We're going to talk about probiotics in this video, and are they worth it? But probiotics, a lot of people taking them to help improve your mood and cognitive function. Digestive health, the market size of the digestive health industry expected to reach over $104 billion by 2032. All right, according to this global market analysis. And that's crazy because just in 2022, it was at a little over $48 billion. But it's expected to grow to over $100 billion in 2032. So there's very much an industry behind the gut health phenomenon. Okay. Here's another little editorial article from Duke University. The gut microbiome may hold the key to healthy aging. All right, very nice one here because this is actually something that our channel is heavily involved with. We're all about longevity, healthy aging, how to live as long as possible, as well as possible. So we are seeing that the gut microbiome has a role within this as well. All right, it says here one of the latest targets in the study of healthy aging is the gut. Increasingly, research points to changes in the gut microbiome as a predictor of longevity and how well we age. All right, so definitely getting into some good stuff here. Another article here. This is highlighting some research out of UC Davis, looking at gut bacteria differences between Black and white women linked to insulin sensitivity. Now, just to let you all know, at the time of shooting this video, we are about to head into Black History Month. And so just want to let you all know that we are planning to release some content that is specific to the Black community and Black men's and women's health. So make sure that you are subscribed if you are interested in that, because, hey, our community needs it. I feel like we can't talk about it enough, and we want to be on the forefront of some of these conversations. But yes, again, this research, very interesting. I think it was published right in 2022. And one of the main findings from this research was that Black women, regardless of their insulin sensitivity, had a greater relative abundance of a species of bacteria called actinobacteria compared to white women. Actinobacteria are associated with reduced insulin sensitivity and elevated inflammation. All right, so that's a serious thing. All right. So again, for my Black brothers and sisters watching this, I hope you're watching this so that you can see how this very much ties into our health and why it matters a lot to us, as it does to everyone, of course. Of course, we see that there are certain barriers, all right, or certain habits that we might develop that could be hurting us and our gut health. Things such as not eating a diverse range of foods, kind of spells them all out here. Getting lack of prebiotics in the diet, which we're going to talk about exactly what prebiotics are. Okay. Lack of regular physical activity, drinking too much alcohol. All right. Also see cigarette smoke, excessive antibiotic use, not getting enough sleep, too much stress. All of these things can absolutely wreak havoc on our gut health. All right. And I feel like something else that could be included on this list as well, that's not in this circle, is not drinking enough water. All right. In my specific area of work, I deal a lot with hydration and working with athletes. And so we see very much so that a dehydrated body or a dehydrated gut is not able to absorb fluid and nutrients as well. So you could be damaging your gut by, being chronically dehydrated very often. So that's another thing we can certainly include in this list. And so when we have a healthy gut, there are a lot of things that we can expect from that, such as, an enhanced resilience to stress, obviously better moods. You're going to hopefully be in a better mood, better balance of hormones, reduce inflammation and pain, stronger immune system, hopefully less depression and anxiety, improved absorption of critical nutrients, cognitive function, lower risk of disease, lower risk of cancer, so on and so forth. And so hopefully this kind of spells out for you just how important and all of the roles in which our gut health impacts our bodies, and how just by having a healthy gut that it could lead to a cascade of other many positive benefits that can not just impact your day-to-day, but impact your life for years to come. Let's talk a little bit about all of the biotics, right? The probiotics, the prebiotics, postbiotics, synbiotics, paraprobiotics, all right? So many biotics, it'll make your head spin. But before we jump into that, you all, if you're getting value out of this content so far, definitely let us know. Like this video, share it with someone, and we would greatly appreciate that. Definitely goes a long way. But the biotics, let's talk a little bit more about what each of these are. I'm just going to kind of spell them out one by one. So let's start off with probiotics, and this is the one that you've probably heard of the most. Probiotics, very simply, are the beneficial gut bacteria in your gut. All right. They're the beneficial bacteria in your gut. They ferment or they feed off of dietary fibers and prebiotics. Okay. So if you kind of break the word down, pro means positive or good. Biotic, all right, or biota, as we talked about earlier, that's the bacteria or the microorganisms. So these are the good guys, the good bugs, all right. You want to have probiotics, in which is the case as to why a lot of people do take probiotic supplements, because they basically confer a health benefit to us, all right, as the host. And so these are the things, obviously, that you see on the back of your, anything that has live active cultures like your yogurts. All right, this is what you're seeing on the back. When you see the live active cultures, those are the strains of probiotics, most of which will be strains of lactobacillus or bifidobacterium, just to name a couple of examples. We won't get too deep into the names there, but those are your basic probiotics. And then you have prebiotics, which are the food or the fuel for the probiotics. So these are the dietary fibers that we consume from fruits and vegetables, beans, whole grains, so on and so forth. These are what feed the bacteria in our gut, because you have to remember that the bacteria in your gut, they are organisms just like us. Just like we need food, they need food as well, because just like we're trying to live and survive, their whole game is trying to live and survive as well. Again, both the good ones as well as the bad ones. All right. But by getting enough fiber in the diet, you can continue to feed the good ones, and they can stay in place and hopefully grow and spread. And so that's simply what prebiotics are. If you've heard that term, prebiotics, those are the food or the fuels for the probiotics in your gut, all of which come from the dietary fibers that we eat. And then you have postbiotics. Now, this might be a term that maybe you aren't as familiar with, and these are the byproducts, all right, or these are the results or the metabolites that are produced by the probiotics after they've consumed the prebiotics. All right, these are the things that they produce, and those things, those postbiotics, these are what then have the health benefits. Okay, so it's not just the probiotics themselves, right? The probiotics need food in order to produce something. Okay, and those byproducts are what give us the health benefits and contribute to our whole body wellness. And so, would love to know, any of you all out there, do you take probiotic supplements or prebiotic supplements? Would love to know. Let us know in the comments below. If so, let us know what kind that you take, because again, very, very common thing. But postbiotics, that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's really where it's at in terms of getting the health benefits from the pro and the prebiotics. And so this is just a diagram showing all of the different ways in which postbiotics impact our overall health. And so postbiotics, those include, things like your butyrate, all right, or butyric acid. You might also see acetate or acetic acid. Those are examples of postbiotics that are produced by the probiotics. I'm gonna try to not get you too confused here, but those are the things that have the impacts on our health: the anti-inflammatory benefits, the anti-diabetic benefits, anti-cancer benefits, cardioprotective benefits, neuroprotective benefits. The list goes on and on. And so that's why, again, this whole gut network is so important to us, because it impacts so many areas and has so many benefits. This is just another image to show a little bit more exactly what this looks like. So if If you look at the image kind of to the left of it, you see the person, consuming the probiotics, even though those are horrible examples of of prebiotics. Uh, I don't know why they got a big turkey leg and a burger on there as prebiotics. I think they were just, I don't know, they just probably thought of food, period. But person consumes prebiotics or fiber, all right, and that in turn feeds the probiotics in our gut. And then those are what create the postbiotics, all right, drive benefits to us, the host. Okay, and so the postbiotics, those are the uh, all of these different metabolites, including enzymes. All right, short chain fatty acids. Those are those ones that I mentioned earlier about the butyrate, the acetic acid. Those are short chain fatty acids, and those are, in essence, again, they kind of go and they do their thing, impacting all of the different areas of our bodies. All right. And then what about symbiotics? Symbiotics, very simply, are a combination of pro and prebiotics. That's in essence what they are. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing too complex. So there are even some supplements out there that are symbiotic supplements. Maybe some of you all have tried them. Maybe you use them. All right. And so that's what symbiotics are. So it's the combination of probiotics and prebiotics, and that's what gives us eventually the postbiotics, as we have been talking about here. Okay, and so again, just to show a few more examples, if you see some of these terms, don't worry, I'm not going to quiz you or test you on anything on any of these. This is just to show you what some of the terms that you might see and which one they fall under. So talked about some of the probiotic examples. All right, the lactobacillus strains, the bifidobacterium strains, some of the prebiotics. All right, these are found in the fibers and in the foods that we eat. Fructo oligosaccharides, galacto oligosaccharides, very long names, I know. Isomalto oligosaccharides. I had to practice that one a little bit, so hopefully I get some cool points for that one. And then again, the symbiotics are just a combination of those two things. But I want to just highlight for a moment here the importance of prebiotics, because we oftentimes focus a lot of our attention on probiotics. Got to take more probiotics so that you can have better health. And probiotics have really been the rave over the past, several years. And again, probiotics are what we need. However, prebiotics oftentimes don't really get as much of a look, but I think a lot of that has started to change over the past few years, now that we see the importance of prebiotics. And so the reason why I want to focus so much attention on prebiotics is because it's all about the fiber, you all. Fiber is in many ways kind of like a super nutrient. Again, I feel like in some ways doesn't really get much of the shine. It's kind of like the offensive linemen on the football team. They don't get a lot of shine, but hey, they make the holes for the running backs and they protect the quarterback. All right. Fiber is in many ways kind of like one of those super nutrients. All right. It is, again, what feeds the probiotics, the good bacteria in your gut, to create those health benefits. So I kind of want to give it a gold star because it's just that great, in my opinion. Just look at a few headlines here. Feeding your gut microbiome, why focus on fiber? This is just a little editorial article from 2022, just again focusing on that importance of fiber for the gut health. This is a really cool diagram from a research study. Again, we'll be linking all of these below, but just showing the impacts of dietary fiber consumption and how that can help to improve the diversity of the microorganisms or the good bacteria in your gut. So just to kind of show you the progression here, the less fiber you consume, then there's evidence that supports that perhaps you have a less diverse gut microbiota or gut microbiome. However, as you start to increase the amount of and the diversity of the types of fiber that you're consuming from different sources, many different foods, some of which we're going to cover in this video, then that hopefully will lend itself to you having a more diversified gut, all right, or gut microbiome or microbiota. So again, that shows here the importance of fiber and the role that it plays. Another diagram here from a research study showing the difference between a fiber-rich diet and a diet that is lacking in fiber on the lining of your gut. So talking here specifically about the large intestine, again, that's where most of the bacteria in your gut is located. And so you can see here this image on the left is showing what the lining of your large intestine looks like with a good fiber rich diet. That those little gray things that you see there, those are basically large intestine cells. So those are cells that line the gut. And then that pink glob stuff that you see right there, that in essence is mucus that lines the gut. All right. So you want to have mucus that lines the gut because it helps to protect the gut. And so when you have enough fiber in your diet, it feeds that good bacteria, which helps to preserve the lining in your gut, which again, that's in this case, this is more of a diagram showing how this impacts immune health and your susceptibility, or you're basically being open to getting sick and diseases, pathogens. Those are those little yellow kind of ovals that you see there. Those are pathogens or things that cause disease. So you have these in your gut right now, all right, or at different times. But again, as we are consuming a diet that's rich in fiber, it's going to help protect that lining in the gut, because once that lining starts to get worn down, by the way, without enough fiber in the diet, what happens is that the bacteria in your gut will start to eat away at the lining in your gut. It will start to eat away at that mucus lining in your large intestine. And that's what begins to open us up to getting sick. All right. And so this diagram kind of shows you the importance of fiber on the gut, particularly as it pertains to resistance to pathogens and disease and sickness, so on and so forth. Unfortunately, we specifically in America are not getting enough fiber in our diets. Surprise, surprise. And, it's to the point where, I mean, it's been estimated that just about 7% of adults meet the recommended daily fiber intake, which, if I remember correctly, it is about 40 grams per day of fiber per day for men and about 35 grams per day for women. And obviously the fellas, we're not doing as well in this area. So, to that point, I just want to say for the men out there, for the fellas, we got to do better, y'all. We got to do a little bit better, making sure that, we're not just focusing on building muscle and things that we might tend to think about, but that we're doing things like eating a diverse array of foods, fruits and veggies. And I'm not even saying that you have to be vegan, right? That's not at all what I'm saying. That's not at all what we would even tell someone to do. All right. I'm not even fully vegan. I would say I'm about 95% plant-based. But my wife and I aren't even fully vegan, even though a lot of the meals that we make, a lot of the recipes that you'll see on this channel are fully plant-based. We're not even fully vegan. However, I will say that you should prioritize eating a diverse array of foods, especially fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, whole grains, as your body can receive those, so on and so forth. Because, I mean, especially again, I'm saying this for the men. I want you to be around for your family. All right. I want us to be around for our families, for our spouses, for our children, for our grandchildren, Lord willing, our great grandchildren. Right. And so hopefully this is just give some motivation, a little bit of inspiration, a little brotherly push from your brother Khalil here, just to say, let's try to let's make this a priority, and it can be enjoyable at that, y'all. And so I think that begs a question though, which is, what is it that actually makes a healthy gut? And to be honest, to give you the short answer here, we really don't fully know that answer yet. All right. There's still a growing body of research that is taking place in this whole gut health area. There's still a lot of question marks, a lot of unknowns. Um, I mean, this has been a kind of a popular area of research really just within the past, I would say 10 to 10 years or so, 10 to 12 years. I actually remember back when I was doing my doctoral work, back when my doctoral professor was starting to get into this area himself. He was starting to get interested in this area. So this was back in 2000, just playing. I'm not that old, but just about, I would say about 10 to 12 years ago, my doctoral professor was, he was starting to get interested in this. And he would say things like, yeah, it's not a sexy area of research, but, the gut. He's like, the gut, we need to start focusing on the gut. And here we are 10 to 12 years later, talking all about the gut, and the gut is all the rave. Shout out to Dr. David Pascoe, my doctoral professor out there. But when it comes to identifying how you can tell whether or not you have a healthy gut, there are a couple of things to that I would say experts in this area tend to focus on, and one of those is having diversity of good gut bacteria. All right. So I kind of showed you earlier how having a diverse diet helps with that. So, number one is diversity. That's usually an indication that you have a healthy gut. The second is having an abundance of those good, healthy bacteria. So, diversity, abundance. And then the third way that you can kind of get an indication that your gut is healthy is about what you see in terms of what manifests in your life, right? So, do you have GI related issues like bloating or gas, things like that? Um, how is your mental health? All right. How is your cognitive function? All right. Do you get brain fog? Things like that. All of the things that we talked about earlier, those are ways in which you can kind of maybe pinpoint how your gut is doing. So if you identify that maybe you're getting sick often, or you're having a lot of brain fog, different things like that, a lot of anxiety, then maybe the gut, again, and I'll say that health is multifactorial, right? It's not just the gut, but the gut is perhaps maybe one of those pieces of the puzzle that you do want to consider. But I will say, though, that one way in which you can get a general idea of your gut health is to actually do a gut health test. And so there are kits that are available. I'm going to go to this one of these right now, but yeah, this is an example. There are at-home kits. There's so many things that you can test on yourself at home these days, which I think is very great and is very convenient. And so your gut health is now one of those things. So there are different companies out there that make these gut health test kits. Basically, what it is you take the kit at home, you give a fecal sample, or in other words, you poop. All right, you got to poop, you got to collect some of it, and you ship it off, and they can use that to test in the lab and kind of give you a full report. And so this is one actually that Adrian and I are going to test out. We just ordered some because, hey, beginning of the year, this is the time when we like to get all of our checkups, right? We like to get a little health checkup, see where we are in different areas. And so we're gonna try this out. We got they have a number of different kits, and they also have probiotic supplements, prebiotic supplements, things like that. So they have one called the just general gut health intelligence kit. And so we're gonna take a look at that. We'll let you all know what we think of it. We'll probably do a video sharing our results and talking about our results. So make sure that you are subscribed so that you don't miss out on that. But that was by the company Biome, is what that one was for. All right, we'll plan to leave a link to that down at some point as well. But you can take an at-home gut health test kit to give you a general idea of what types of bacteria you have in your gut, maybe the good versus the bad. And with kits like the Biome, it'll give you recommendations of maybe foods that you should start to focus more on, and maybe foods that you should try to avoid. Is it a perfect science? No, I mean, there's always a degree of error within a lot of these different technologies. But uh, hey, on this channel, we always like trying things. So we're going to test it out, and we'll let you all know what we think of it. From that, I want to get into 7 of these plant-based foods to help you build a solid, not just abs, but a solid gut. All right. So these are 7 things, hopefully some of which you haven't even considered before. Um, these are things that we strive to include in our diets on a daily basis or as often as possible. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. The first one that we want to cover off on are berries. Very simple. All right, we'll start nice and simple here. Berries, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, so on and so forth. We have started to see, or there's a growing body of evidence showing the potential role that polyphenols, which are the types of antioxidants found in berries, and the role that they play within our gut health. Here's another little study I want to highlight here: dietary polyphenol, gut microbiota, and health benefits. All right. One little excerpt from this: polyphenols can selectively inhibit the growth of pathogenic bacteria. Again, those are the bad guys. All right. So we see that polyphenols, or the antioxidants found in berries, can actually stop the growth of harmful bacteria that make us sick. All right. It says here egalic acid and anthocyanins and raspberry juice may inhibit the growth, blah, blah, blah. On the other hand, polyphenols can promote the growth of beneficial bacteria in the gut, such as bifidobacterium. All right, so we see from berries, the antioxidants can help, they can help prevent the growth of harmful bacteria while also helping to promote the growth of the good bacteria. I mean, that's a 2-in-1 combo right there. And so this is just a little diagram to show the mechanisms in how these polyphenols from the berries can impact all of these how they're processed in the gut and how they can then, again, deliver the goods to all of the areas in our bodies. One of these that I really want to highlight, if you see on the far right there, anti-adaptogenic properties. All right, that basically means anti-fat making. That's what that means. So anti-fat, anti-adipose. So basically it helps you from, or it helps to prevent you from accumulating body fat, which, I mean, I'm sure you all would agree that's always a nice thing, right? Who wouldn't like that? All right, so first we have berries. Next up, oatmeal. Oatmeal. And you thought oatmeal was just your boring parents or grandparents breakfast, but oatmeal is the real deal, y'all. Like, oatmeal is the jam. That is Adrian and I's go-to breakfast almost on a daily basis. All right. Want to let you all know as well that we are planning to do an oatmeal challenge. All right, we're thinking of making it either a 14-day or a 21-day oatmeal challenge where, we're going to try to encourage everyone to consume oatmeal every day for breakfast for that time span. And so if that's something that you're interested in, again, make sure that you're subscribed so that you don't miss out on that challenge. But oatmeal is excellent because it contains, again, good dietary fiber, one of which is called beta-glucan. Beta-glucan is a soluble fiber. Again, those are the primary types of fibers that are the prebiotic fibers. And not only does beta-glucan play a great role within our gut health, but it also has been shown to help reduce levels of blood cholesterol, also of which impacts our overall health. But kind of see what I'm doing here and kind of building one on the other. So think about it. You can have your oatmeal in the morning with some fresh berries. I mean, Adrian and I like to do fresh strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, and that's a good gut healthy breakfast right there. You already, starting off the morning on a strong foot. I love that. Next one is legumes. All right, your beans, your peas, your lentils, so on and so forth. So many good properties here. All right, a lot of good sources of fiber, prebiotic fiber in your legumes. Definitely helps us to manage our overall body weight as well by helping to keep us satiated. Quick little article review here from Nutrients showing the prebiotic potential of dietary beans and pulses and their resistant starch for aging associated gut and metabolic health. Resistant starch, we'll talk about that in another video. It's very similar to what we're talking about here. It's basically a type of starch that our bodies, it doesn't make spike our blood sugar and our bodies don't digest. We'll talk about that in another video. But again, just a lot of growing, there's a lot of growing bodies of research evidence that are supporting the potential of these foods and their impacts on the gut. So the next, fermented veggies, okay, your kimchis, sauerkrauts, your pickled fermented veggies that you can make even at home. And I say that specifically pickled fermented veggies because, sometimes the types of ways in which we might pickle things aren't actually fermented. All right. So one of the things, for example, that we like to make is pickled onions, but that's like a very quick pickled onion process that takes 5 minutes, and you put it in the fridge and then it's ready to go. But actually fermenting veggies is a process that takes multiple weeks, can take up to a few weeks, perhaps even longer. These are considered symbiotic foods. All right. It's symbiotic food, meaning that it has both pre and probiotic potential. So that's one of the things that I love about fermented veggies, is that it's not just something that contains prebiotics or something that contains probiotics, but you're getting a combo of both, which is amazing. Want to mention that you can actually make your own fermented veggies at home. It doesn't seem to be that difficult. There are these lids that you can buy, you can purchase off Amazon, that you can use to make fermented veggies. We own a set of these in our home, and we use them actually for our juices. You can use them to actually keep your juices fresh for longer. Basically what they are is they're airtight tops that you twist on to mason jars, and then it comes with this pump that you see over here in the far right, and that pump allows you to suck the air out of the jar so that you get rid of any oxidation. And again, this is an easy way to ferment your own veggies at home. It's not a difficult process. Probably we'll do a video on how to use this to make fermented veggies at some point as well. All right, so fermented veggies. Next, tempeh. All right, raise your hand if you are a tempeh lover like we are. We're all about some tempeh. We actually have a ginger barbecue tempeh recipe that you can check out right now on the channel. It's amazing. It is, y'all, it's our go-to recipe, one of our go-to recipes. But tempeh, if you're not familiar with it, tempeh in essence is it's fermented beans that are packed tightly together. They're oftentimes made using soybeans. Those are often what you're going to see in the store. So if you see products like this in the store, like the Light Life tempeh, those are going to be made from fermented soybeans. And so again, because they are fermented, they contain live active cultures, those live microorganisms, which are going to provide, again, another health benefit as you consume them. But you can actually make tempeh from any type of bean. But you might be wondering now, if you consume tempeh, or if I'm cooking tempeh, if I put it in a pan and I cook it, or if I heat it up in the oven, will that allow you to still, or does that actually kill off the beneficial probiotic properties? All right. Does that lose the benefits, the probiotic benefits of that tempeh? I'm so glad you asked that question. It is a great question. I actually wondered the same thing. All right. And so this is actually where this whole area of paraprobiotics comes into play. I didn't go over this earlier because I wanted to share it for this point. But paraprobiotics is kind of one of the newer frontiers, if you will, within this whole gut health space. And they're really cool, y'all. I'm just telling y'all, paraprobiotics. So this is just a little headline showing, paraprobiotics, how they're a new approach for immune system support. The last decade's worth of microbiome research has taught us much of that. Our human physiology is regulated by microorganisms in our digestive tracts. It turns out that some of these organisms may not need to even be alive to exert their influence. And so just to talk about, define what paraprobiotics are, in essence, what they are is they are dead probiotics, right? They're non-viable, they're non-living, okay? However, they still provide some benefit to the body, okay? So specifically, they're defined as inactivated microbial cells that confer a health benefit to the consumer. They hold the ability to regulate the adaptive and innate immune systems, exhibit anti-inflammatory, good thing, anti-proliferative and antioxidant properties, and exert antagonistic effects against pathogens. Again, fighting against things that cause disease. All right. And so just to show you a little image here, a little diagram. So when you have probiotics and let's say you either heat them up, all right, you kill them by either cooking them, you pressurize them, or if they're subject to some form of radiation, that's okay because they just turn into paraprobiotics, which still are going to have benefit for your health. I mean, it's amazing, y'all. Like when I learned about this, I was like, hey, that's awesome. I mean, you can kind of think of it like this. It's like, we're coming up on MLK Day at the time of shooting this video. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is someone who lived a very impactful life, but even though he's passed away, he's passed since, it's been almost 60 years since he's passed, but his life is still having impact even after he's been gone, right? And so it's kind of like how, to give you an analogy as to how paraprobiotics are, they're probiotics that still have an effect on the body even after they've died off. One cool thing, again, is that it's been shown that paraprobiotics have been proven to modulate anti-inflammatory and positive immune responses in animals and humans, with some advantages if compared to probiotics. So there's been a growing body of research showing that paraprobiotics in some cases could have more benefits than just regular probiotics themselves, which is crazy, y'all. For me, that's mind-blowing, right? That's mind-blowing because in a time where we've been all about probiotics, this goes to show you that, hey, you can cook the tempeh, you can cook the, whatever it is, and you'll still be all right. You'll still get some of those symbiotic benefits. Just to show a little bit of research here that's specific to tempeh, this is an article from 2023 out of Nutrients looking at tempeh rich in paraprobiotic properties as a functional sports food. So this is actually an opinionated article, more than just a protein source. So tempeh, again, it's a great protein source, as we know, but has so many other benefits. This says tempeh is made by fermentation using beneficial microorganisms such as mold and lactic acid bacteria. LAB has potential as a probiotic. However, generally people consume cooked tempeh. Thus, the microorganisms are inactivated and become paraprobiotics. Paraprobiotics in tempeh can induce immune gene expression in, for example, the IgA gene. IgA stands for immunoglobulin A. Try to say that 5 times fast. In essence, what this is, it's a protein that plays a role within our immune system, helping to fight off sickness and disease. And so the more IgA we have, all right, that usually helps us to fight off sickness a bit better. So IgA gene, which therefore produces more IgA, an antibody that acts as a defense, there we go, against the presence of antigens in the mucosal membrane. All right, here's another article out of a group from Indonesia. This is a experimental research study that they did. I won't go into depth in this, but they looked at the effects of tempeh supplementation on the intestinal immune system and gut microbiota. Main highlight here is the result from this study suggested that tempeh supplementation might act as a paraprobiotic and slimming agent, since tempeh enhanced production of IgA and increased population of A. mucinifila in human intestinal tracts. All right, we'll make sure to link this study down below for you all as well. Want to let you all know, we also did a deeper dive on tempeh and its impacts on immune health, actually talking about some of these studies a bit more. So it's up on our channel if you want to take a look at it. We'll leave a link down in the show notes, in the description, so you can check it out. But yeah, if you want to take a deeper dive on tempeh and how it compares to tofu, not knocking tofu, by the way, love tofu. But yeah, just a case for tempeh there. All right, next. Here's one that you might not have thought of: sourdough bread. Yes, and you thought sourdough bread was just a bread. Now, sourdough bread is a food that has some symbiotic benefits, especially if you make it with whole wheat or whole grain sources. It's going to give you that pre and probiotic benefit. But sourdough bread, you all, is more than just your typical bread. It's actually made by using lactic acid bacteria in the process, and that's part of what makes the bread rise. Okay, so it's got lactic acid bacteria, again, which is a live active microorganism. It's a live culture, along with the yeast, and that is how the bread is made. And so you probably didn't know that sourdough bread is actually a source of probiotics, but now you know. All right, now you know. All right, so we have that. Next, we have plant-based yogurt, which is one that not sure if any of y'all out there have tried before, but there are some pretty good plant-based yogurts out there that are going to have a little bit of dietary fiber, so you get some prebiotics from that. And then they also contain some live active cultures. We've done both of these brands, the Kite Hill, which is actually almond milk based, and then the So Delicious, which is coconut based. All right, both we like both of those. Love consuming both of those. And so yeah, definitely another good solid plant based food that can be good for your gut health for sure. And I want to kind of tie that up with just saying, as much as you can to try to create symbiotic combinations or symbiotic meals with whatever you're doing. All right. We gave the example with the oatmeal and the berries earlier. Another good example of a symbiotic meal or snack could be yogurt parfait using some of that plant-based yogurt that we talked about. You can add some granola, all right, for a little added fiber, and then add the berries, okay, to get the fiber and the polyphenols from those. And that's a good symbiotic meal. You're getting both prebiotics as well as the probiotics. And so just to also add a few additional ways to improve your gut health. Now, these are beyond just the foods that I just shared, but these are all other things that do matter and that you should be trying to think about in order to help ensure that you're having a nice, healthy gut. And those include regular exercise, all right, getting adequate sleep, okay, and even with the exercise, even if you feel like you don't have time to exercise for an hour a day, 5 days a week, there are other ways to go about getting some sort of physical activity in. One of those could be exercise snacking, which has nothing to do with food, by the way. It's more about an approach to exercise that involves breaking up your exercise into small segments throughout the day. But regular physical activity, adequate sleep. All right. The interesting thing about the gut is that your gut health can impact sleep, but on the flip side, your sleep can also impact your gut health. All right. So it's symbiotic, and one affects the other. Try to minimize distress, anxiety, depression through whatever means, worry, all of those things. Reduce alcohol intake if you consume alcohol excessively, that is. But reducing it, drinking responsibly, eliminating cigarette smoke, of course, eliminating the use of specific drugs like antibiotics if you can help it, if possible. All right. Antibiotic, that word means antibacteria. Okay. So the thing about antibiotics is that they're going to not only help to kill off the bad bacteria that you're trying to attack, but they also fight off and they also attack some of the good bacteria in our gut as well. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, your typical ibuprofen, right? There's been a growing body of research showing that excessive use of these types of drugs, over-the-counter drugs, can have an adverse effect on your gut health. Adrian and I are former athletes. All right. I played football in college. Adrian was a gymnast, and we know all about, people, especially our athlete counterparts were all about the ibuprofen, right? Because it was just a quick way to help deal with the everyday aches and pains that are part of just being an athlete. But what happens is what starts off as a temporary thing then turns into a more permanent and long-term thing. And then before you know it, you're almost addicted to those things. And so trying to reduce the use of those NSAIDs as much as possible. And then finally is to just stay hydrated. All right. Just like we talked about before, making sure that you are staying hydrated. That's also going to very much impact the health of your gut. Drink water every day. Basically, you're trying to reverse all of these things that we just shared earlier. So all of these things that you see in the circle of these 8 habits, try to reverse those habits doing the things that we've been sharing throughout this video. And so now that brings us to the $1,000,000 question, you could say, is probiotic supplements. All right. Are they worth it? Okay. Should you be spending your money, your hard earned money, on getting the latest probiotic supplement that you saw in a commercial, or that you saw when you were scrolling on the internet, or that you saw because you were watching TV and some random doctor said you should be taking probiotics? I'll address this question in 2 ways. First, I'm going to say when the use of probiotic supplements may be useful, and then I'll talk about the other side of the coin here. But when it comes to times in which you might want to take probiotic supplements, these are some of your potential reasons right here. One is if you are taking antibiotics. All right, just like I talked about earlier, antibiotics, those are antibacterial medicines or agents. They go into your body. They're trying to attack bad bacteria if you've gotten sick, but they also take out some of the good guys in the process. So what your doctor might sometimes do is they might actually prescribe you to take, or encourage you to take, some probiotics alongside the antibiotics. All right. If you're taking antibiotics in order to try to counteract the effect of the antibiotics. So that could be one case when you might want to take probiotic supplements. The second is if perhaps you have certain serious GI conditions or disorders that impact the lining of your gut, or maybe you have other diseases that compromise your gut health. All right. The list goes on there. That could be another case where you might want to consider, or maybe your doctor will prescribe you or encourage you to take probiotic supplements. But, one of the things that I do want to mention is that at the end of the day, it's really best to consult your physician, your registered dietitian, when it comes to these things, because if you have, maybe specific conditions that you're dealing with, you want to make sure that you're getting the most specific advice for your personal physiology. So even the foods that I shared off on earlier, those are more, again, general recommendations based on whether or not you can actually digest those things okay. So I just wanted to throw that in there and just mention that hey, I do understand that maybe some of those foods, or some of these foods, might be foods that you aren't able to digest well. And so at the end of the day, it's best to really make sure that you're consulting a registered dietitian or a physician in order to get the most specific advice. But I do want to mention that, when it comes to probiotic supplements, as long as you are consuming a very diverse diet, lots of fruits and vegetables, legumes, whole grains, nuts and seeds, a lot of the things that we talked about in this video. If you're doing all of those things, doing those other things, getting regular exercise, drinking water, all right, reducing stress, getting enough sleep, then perhaps, folks, you might not need to spend your money on a probiotic supplement. Okay. It could be a waste of money if you're already getting those good prebiotics and probiotics from natural sources. I would say you especially don't need to buy probiotic supplements if you're not consuming enough fiber, because just as we talked about, you can consume, you can pay for all of the probiotics that you want. But if you're not getting enough fiber, then it kind of defeats the purpose. But to that end, it's one of the things that we like to talk about on this channel, is that variety leads to vitality. So by having a very diverse diet, especially heavy, and packed with a lot of plant-based things, fruits and vegetables, then that is what can lead to a good, strong, healthy gut, even without the use of probiotics. If for those of you all who are gardeners out there, you probably know this image that I'm showing right now. All right, this is an image showing the gardening zones. So every zone in the country basically has certain types of plants, all right, and crops that grow best in those zones. So just like these specific zones there are certain types of plants that grow best in these zones. In your body, you may have specific types of bacteria that your body will need that are specific to you and your personal physiology. Okay, so whether you're, for example, male or female, young or old, at a specific point in your life, athlete, non-athlete, those are all things. Even just your specific, just DNA, all right, to you as an individual, can determine exactly the most impactful types of probiotics that you would need. So for those of you all out there that are just buying probiotics on a whim, and trust me, you all, I've done it, right? We've done it. And I would say that it didn't seem to really help us at all. And it was also, it also was a little expensive, but, without knowing exactly, getting an idea of what is inside of your gut, all right, what's kind of the lay of the land in your gut, what types of bacteria are in your gut, then you're just taking shots in the dark, and you could be missing. You could be spending all of those precious dollars and you just could be missing. You could be getting probiotics from certain supplements that maybe aren't really a benefit to you. And so that's where, again, maybe having something like that gut health test kit could come into play if you want to get an idea of the types of probiotic supplements, if you're considering getting them, the types that would benefit you the most. And so, kind of as we begin to wrap up here a little bit, I want to talk a little bit about GI issues. As I said before, this is not a super deep dive into some of the more serious GI conditions. All right, but do want to talk just a little bit about some of the common GI issues that people may experience, particularly as it pertains to what's called the FODMAPs. If you are familiar with FODMAP or the low FODMAP diet, let me know in the comments. But the FODMAP or the low FODMAP diet, or what FODMAPs are, let's just talk about that from the jump. FODMAP is an acronym that stands for fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols, which are short chain carbohydrates or short chain sugars that the small intestine absorbs poorly. All right, so these basically are sugars that your body doesn't digest very well. And so as a result of not being able to digest these very well, some people experience distress in their GI system after eating them. And those can include things like cramping, diarrhea, constipation, stomach bloating, gas, flatulence, so on and so forth. And so as a result of this, what some people will try to do, and maybe some of you all have experienced some of these things, all right? Maybe you experience some of these things often and you don't really know why. And so if you're someone who experiences some of these symptoms after you eat certain things and you don't really know why, then one of the things that you can actually do is what's called an elimination diet or a low FODMAP diet. And so just to explain very briefly what this is a process by which you eliminate certain foods that fit under the FODMAP category. And, I can try to provide a link to this so that you can see what all foods fit under the FODMAP categories. For example, there are certain fruits or certain vegetables like garlic. I think onions fit under, they're a FODMAP food. So you want, for a period of about 2 to 6 weeks, you can actually just begin to eliminate some of these foods that fall under the FODMAP categories. And then after that time period is over the next several weeks, slowly begin to reintroduce some of those FODMAP foods back into your diet one by one, taking your time. All right, consume it, see how it affects you. All right, consume them for a period of maybe a few days. And then from there, you can begin to pinpoint which of those foods are actually causing some of the GI distress. Okay, so another example of a FODMAP food would be milk, of course, or anything containing dairy or lactose. That's an example of a FODMAP food. So again, by this elimination diet, you eliminate all of the foods that fall under the FODMAP categories: garlic, onions, things that contain lactose, and then slowly reintroduce those things back into your diet one by one. And from there, you can actually customize your diet to potentially leave out altogether those things that begin to give you GI distress, right? But finally, here, I just want to talk a little bit about juicing as it pertains to gut health. Okay, juicing as it pertains to gut health. If you are someone who consumes juices, makes your own juices at home, let us know in the comments. Again, don't forget about our free juicing guide that we currently have available. But juicing is something that could potentially have some strong impacts on your gut health as well. And we actually did a deep dive video talking all about juicing and making juices using a cold press juice machine versus making juices using a blender, and the research behind each of those options and which one potentially has the greatest impact on your gut health. So if you want to check out that full deep dive that we did, we'll leave a link down in the description below. But in the meantime, if you want to just check out just a condensed version of that video where we talk about the portion of that specifically as it pertains to your gut health, then click on the video that you see here in the top right, and we'll check you out in the next video. Peace. Thanks for tuning in.